Welcome to our program. Today our guest is Daniela Trifiletti from My Danish Family. Hi Daniela.
Hi, thank you for having me here today.
We are so happy that you are here with us, and you just won a special prize, People Awards.
Yes, the Go Local People's Choice Award, and to be honest, it's still a little bit surreal. My Danish Family wins this kind of the old integrationspriz, which means that I've been helping internationals to integrate into Danish society, something that, to be honest, I never thought I was really doing with My Danish Family. This just demonstrates that the reach or the goals were met. My purposes building up My Danish Family were accomplished.
And what was your purpose? How did it start?
So, wow, it goes a little bit back, but basically it begins when I'm about to become a mother. At that point in time, I was just looking on how was all this process, becoming a mom, being abroad, establishing myself, establishing a new marriage, family, house. Everything was new to me. And the only thing I was looking for was information in my, let's say, family language that was English. And at that time, that was 2014, I couldn't find anything. I really didn't know how I was going to give birth, how was things going to happen, what was the next steps, daycare systems, Basel or the maternity leave. All of this was in Danish, so I thought I was going to start just blogging about it, writing a little bit for those new coming moms to get that information from somewhere. That was the main thing. I was scared. I was lost. I was, of course, having this cultural shock period, and everything was happening. So my purpose at that time in 2014 was building up a platform for English-speaking mothers or parents and its families, and avoid having that feeling of insecurity of what do I do now? That was like my question to be answered. Like, you do this. This is the institution that will help you with something, and that was accomplished. I think today, almost 5 years after, 4 or 5 years after, I can say that I reached that goal. I managed to help a lot of families, a lot of mothers specifically, to find their ways. Maybe it's not just the right way, it's just a way to find the resources there are. My Danish Family, what I wanted to do with My Danish Family was making available the resources that the Danish society has for the international community. When I arrived, it's not that any of these services were there, because they have been for many years, but you as an international don't know they exist. And maybe you can know it after you learn Danish and after you navigate the system in Danish. So let's say mother groups, all the play groups areas, services about, I don't know, healthcare system and everything, they are there, and they're equally offered for you as an international, me as a multicultural, everyone. But for us as internationals, we just needed to dig very deep down the systems in order to find them. My Danish Family just went down, brought them up, and put it so that when you finally find, like, I don't know, or you were in that dark hole, not knowing really what to do, you could find them right away.
And this is so important because you are sharing this knowledge, and like you said, it was there. But when you are a newcomer, especially to Denmark, the things are different. How many things you found different when you came here, even with giving birth?
Everything.
Tell us just some examples.
I think I tend to say that in my particular culture, I am Colombian, and when you take Danish and the Colombian, we're not different, but we're a country. We're like, literally, we see life with different eyes. So basically, everything was shocking to me. Due to the English, that English was our kind of family language with my husband, we ended up reading a lot about the US, because that was the only way that we could communicate and find our spot. And definitely the US is North Colombia, not Denmark. So we were just like learning a lot about a different country. Giving birth basically was another story. I cannot go into details because we could just like talk forever, but seeing the entire approach to things is not just how things are done. Like, it's not the practical matter that you do this here and there, but it is the merge of all the things in society. So it is not just the fact that in Denmark you give birth and there is a midwife instead of an OB-GYN or a full gynecologist and a whole specialist behind it. It's not just that, but it is the fact that, for instance, pregnancy is not seen as a special condition or like a sickness or it's not a sickness, but that you need that super, super special attention. In Denmark, you're just pregnant, period. There is nothing more than that. You don't need monthly checkups, you don't need monthly scans, you don't need to have these background of doctors checking you and touching you all the time as how it can be in my country.
Wasn't this for you scary a bit?
Definitely. But also, yes and no. I think it would have been more scary if I had given birth in Colombia first and then needing to give having a second child in Denmark.
Because
definitely.
now you have 2 kids.
I have 2, but both are Danish
Both
born.
here.
Yes. And that's where I understand mothers that have given birth in different countries and they just come here and it's just like, wow, this is like completely rudimental. How am I going to survive through this entire process? But at the end is having that voice and saying, it's going to be okay. And it's actually magnificent. I mean, I cannot say that I agree with everything in Danish society. That would be completely surreal. But there are many things that in the beginning were completely mind-blowing and even like shocking and just like, how on earth do you do this? And now after 5 years and going through the system, having children, having, of course, in my, let's say, special condition of a researcher of how to find my place here, I have come to realize that many of the Danish ways are actually pretty cool ways. So that's where I can try to put myself and say to the newcomers, like, this is shocking, but it's going to be okay. And it's actually quite a nice way to do things. And that goes in some parts of the Danish motherhood, so to speak, after birth, everything like that. There are so many special things that can be done the Danish way.
And do you think that mothers, you are also part of the international mothers?
Definitely.
You found them very supportive group?
Yes, I think that one and many of the Facebook groups, I think Denmark has quite a spot in the online world. I'm part of very different groups worldwide, just because I am in the
researcher.
Yes,
Always.
I just like it. I just need to know how the expat living is, and I'm part of one's in Colombia, also in Spain, also here in Denmark, and it is surprisingly how tight the international community is. Not only physical, like we have international community and a lot of other organizations working for that, but on the online basis, people help each other. We know there are some crazy groups out there, and there's a lot happening online, but on the overall picture, if you find your right place and you find your right group, you will get the help you need. And international mothers, who is just like clap and claps and claps and hats off for those who organized it many years ago, because it's definitely the to-go place when you arrive with kids or without kids and planning to. So.
And what was your story? Why Denmark? How did it happen?
I never planned Denmark really. I graduated in Bogota from journalism and communication, and my idea was to do a master degree in journalism of war and conflict, and then an Erasmus Mundus popped up in my screen, and it sounded amazing. It said Swansea University in Wales. I was going to specialize in that exactly, in going across the world to find wars and report about it. But then in the tiny letter down said like first year is in Aarhus, Denmark. First thing to do is Google Aarhus, Denmark. Like, where is Denmark? Where in the map is Denmark?
Did you check the temperature before you came here?
No, actually I didn't. I mean, there are a lot of things that maybe I was just too excited about the whole journey, all the way to Wales, that I said like Denmark is just 1 year and it's just along the way and we'll make it. And it was more on the practical side. What language? What is the currency? Where is it located? Oh, it seems very cold, but I love the cold weather, so it was just like, okay, check, Wales, and then I focused on Wales. And then the funny thing, I never made it to Wales. I haven't been in Wales, in the UK, ever. So my story begins and kind of like ends that stage here in Aarhus. And basically because love knocked the door, as it said, and I met my husband the first day I arrived.
Wow,
was my neighbor.
What a story.
Yeah, he opened the door. I said yes to a lifetime here in Denmark, and that's a long
chapter,
story short.
yes.
Yeah,
and that's how my Danish family started.
Exactly, and that's where he's a multicultural Dane, meaning that there is a lot of different cultures in his background, and just chipping in a Colombian wife with a new language while we were raising children with a lot of different backgrounds. We are a trilingual house. We speak across the table 3 languages simultaneously, and a lot of challenges come within that journey that they're very unexpected. I don't know if someone asked me like all over again, would you do it without knowing anything, or now knowing, and it's just simply just to say that raising the multicultural living and living the expat life is just not a stroll in the park. There are a lot of ups and downs. You're also here as an expat yourself, and so that's how it all began. Exploring.
And what are your rules? Like, what are your advices? How to find out yourself in your country? How to build a new network of friends, because you are leaving everything behind you.
Yes, you leave your comfort zones, and I think after the first thing, if you ask me a question again, that would be to be aware of the cultural shock. Many people just realize about it long ahead in the journey. It's like, oh, that was why I feel completely depressed, or that's why I didn't find myself, or that's why I wanted to return home. If you were more aware of the change that you're going to experience, of the inevitable psychological aspects that you will go through, then I think the journey will be smoother, and you will be able to kind of go out of that terrible curve of the cultural shock and find yourself again into a place that now you call kind of like your comfort zones. I leave everything behind, right? You leave friends, family, your comfort zones, and I think the only way is to just like jump into the darkness and say, well, I'm gonna go into that now uncomfortable zones of life, and that is speaking the new language, meeting new people. Actually, I think one of the most important things for me was one day meeting a lot of group of other mothers, and we're all adult women. We all have houses or our own lives and children and everything and jobs. And then just saying, last night I cried all night because that's how it is. And just getting that out and knowing that all the others know the feeling, and not being judged and not being like, oh, but why are you crying? No, on the contrary, everyone's saying like, it's okay. And that also happened to me. And there is sometimes that even though I've been here for X amount of years, I still cry sometimes. Having that self-assurance that you're not alone in this journey, I think is very important.
Because I think many people, when come here, they are lonely at the first time.
Yes, and perhaps for a long time. And even though you have now built up a network, and you sometimes feel lonely. And loneliness is just a feeling and a state that is better to be recognized rather than to hide. And no, just sometimes you feel lonely, so be proactive in those type of feelings, because isolation and loneliness can definitely affect very, very dramatically your entire journey and the success of that either expat life or expatriation period, or however you call it. I think that would be, and you say like how to build up a network. I mean, don't be shy. It's easier said than done, definitely. I can say that I'm an extrovert, and I don't mind going to someone and say like, hi, do you want to be my friend? I have no friends. But
this is important what you say, because it's active role. You have to be active in looking for these new friends, new communities that can give you this support and be your new friends or family.
Definitely. Friendships and comfort zones are not going to come to knock on your door. That just simply doesn't happen. And the thing about the expat communities, everyone is alone. Everyone. I mean, in the beginning, everyone was alone, so no one can be, no one will forget that feeling. On the contrary, everyone in the expat community, they're very supportive, because you remember deep down how it was to be alone those 4 weeks, not knowing really how to do. So it's just a matter of knowing that they have been there, and probably the one standing right next to you is on the same. So I say to people, just remove that shame jacket and just go and say like, hi, I'm lonely. It's a very difficult thing to do, but it's the only way to get out. Winter sometimes make it difficult for many people, but it's just a matter of going out. The city of Aarhus is doing something that I think the rest of Denmark right now is getting a bit shocked of how good is it doing. I think Copenhagen slowly is going to start, I think, learning from the little city of Aarhus of how the international community develops. And it is just a matter of providing the resources for those that are coming with a lot of eagerness to work for the common well-being and not just the personal well-being.
Because it's also now your title is that you managed to work for this diversity and intercultural dialogue, and you are like an ambassador of internationals in Aarhus, but you also promote Denmark outside the country.
Yes, and I think one of my main goals right now is just the more I understand how Denmark is structured and how the international community is structured, and most importantly, how the personal journey is. My goal is, of course, to keep on taking Aarhus out and spreading the word about how the city is and about Denmark. But I think there is one specific goal that I have, and that is to remove the gaps in between the cities of Denmark. Denmark is only 5 million people, is this big. I heard it in the conference of the Go Global, and a speaker said it is a peanut country. And it is this big. But the cities are so far away from each other. The dialogue and the communication in between municipalities and between initiatives is so little that there is not a joint goal. There is not, the results are not as powerful as they could be just because everyone tries to do it independently. I don't know if it happens because everyone wants independent recognition or because there is a unspoken competition in between municipalities. But if we were able to remove those batches in between and all work together, I think it's not just the international community, but the country itself would see a lot more of what we can see today.
And what do you think, from your also perspective, what can internationals give to Denmark? Because like you said, it's a very small country, but what is unique that there are so many internationals and they are doing a lot of good job, like even you.
I think what the international brings in is diversity, of course. Every single country has its negative and positive sides, and definitely something that we need to be aware of. But the discourse that internationals sometimes bring just the negative traits, I think it's getting old, and I think we're passing by to now seeing, okay, the internationals bring in an incredibly high-skilled workforce to the Danish market. The diversity within the workplaces, it's amazing. I think even if it's not just Danes, but if we go to my own country or to your own country, if you have 10 people that are Polish and they're all talking in the same language, they have the same ideas, they've been working in the company for X amount of years, it's a box. You need that person, the outsider, call it international, call it guest, call it whatever, that person is going to think out of the box.
It will bring the fresh air.
Exactly. So everyone, if we just have Danish workplaces, it's not that it's bad. Of course it's not bad. It's just going to be just the same challenges as always and the same results and the same responses. If we bring someone from the outside, that is the new look. Having my Danish family, initially, I only had followers that were internationals. Because maybe the Danish parents would be like, but why would you teach me about my own culture? I already know it all. All of a sudden, the amount of Danish followers or moms increased tremendously. And I started receiving messages like, Daniela, thank you for showing me the city in a way I've never seen it. And that was because we bring a new pair of glasses. We come to the city, we see the activities differently, we maybe Google things differently, so maybe activities that they've never seen because they were used to their 3 or 4, library, park, blah, blah, blah. But you come with something new, and they were like, I had no idea that existed in my city, and they might be living here for 20 years. So that in my Danish family kind of scene, but also in the country as a whole. That's what internationals will bring, just that pair of new glasses. The international has something, and that is eagerness to do a lot of stuff. You didn't leave your country normally just because, right? So if you decided to leave family, friends, comfort zone, maybe even a job, you don't do it just because. You have love. Normally, you will hear a lot of these love stories. The Dane got me, and then I stayed. But once you decide to have your life abroad, you want to make it work. Because a failure in the expat living means a lot of things. Means you need to go back, means you're not going to maybe find your place and stuff. But so you're going to have that drive to create projects, to do a lot of stuff that maybe the local doesn't have. So that's what the international kind of talent will bring to the country, at least in my personal opinion.
And this is a very special day because you started your new job. Can you tell us about it? What is it? What are you doing now from today?
From today and for the next probably 9 months around. It's a maternity cover. I'll be the University International Club Coordinator at Aarhus University. Another dream job, to be honest. It's basically doing what I've been doing all this time, just under the umbrella of the biggest institution of the city, which is the university. And it's just giving more and more resources to those new families from the international staff of the university to settle, to find their life here, to set up their home, to adapt to the culture. All the job involves from coordinating events to create newsletter, to provide information, to be like a bit of hold hands with those that have decided to move to Aarhus through the university and settle their lives here. So today I started, and again, I couldn't be any more happy to continue doing that I've been doing for such a long time now under the scope and the umbrella of the university.
And you are the right person on the right place. I'm
Thank
very happy
you.
about
Yes.
it. And from your opinion is about this diversity, because you say that also your husband is a lot into this multicultural dialogue. What can we learn from each other?
We have learned that we need to talk a lot. I think what we've learned as a couple, as a family, is that everything needs to be clear. I think it can go for any type of marriage, but now when you try to discuss things in 3 different languages, you have a child that is already opinionated, that can understand the three languages that we speak, then things get tangled, things get complicated. But that's also the richness about it, that if we cannot find a word, then we can find 3. But every time is just to know what are we walking towards. Having common goals is very important for us. Just because our multicultural differences, we might say that we're running to that entrance, but I'm running because of something, and he might be walking towards that because of another reason. So just that open communication of saying, what pair of glasses are you wearing today, is very important, because we will see life relationships very different. It's not just our, of course, personal traits and personality, but just the fact that we come from very different backgrounds, and the multiculturality is all. And though challenging, I think we are both the proudest but the most excited ones to now raise 2 little ones filled with cultures, filled with languages, and not being. I'll need some experts in the future about third culture children and how to manage their identities, but just being able to be raised with such parallel thinking. That's what we've been learning of. I don't have the answers right now, but that's why we're learning how to do it.
And was it surprising for you how the Danish kindergarten or school looks like?
Oh geez, yes. It's I think, as I say, every single aspect in our Danish living has been always a cultural shock for me. Now I've learned to do so, but finding my 4-year-old sawing a tree with a real saw, she was accompanied with that. That would never happen. I mean, they are kind of, I think those type of tools will be completely forbidden in a child institution. But seeing her happy, I mean, nothing happens. That's what I've learned, that they can do a lot of stuff by themselves. They're children, of course, but they are more capable than we give them credit for. That's something that I've learned through the Danish system, and finding sometimes candles around in the Vuggestue, that is the institution for children from 0 to 3, and I'm like, well, Jesus, these are babies, but babies learn, and babies know how to do a lot of stuff as well. So
they learn also hygge, yes.
Hygge is a thing that you end up incorporating, I think unconsciously. Many people do it consciously because they want to achieve that hygge state. But for me, it was a little bit anti-hygge, because I thought like, oh, it's just so trendy. It's everywhere. It's in Times, in all these magazines and bloggers talking about it. I was like, sure, I can see the hygge because I'm here, but I'm not working towards it. And all of a sudden, I got my husband in the kitchen and said like, oh my God, we're running out of candles. Like when
how can we live without
exactly
the
like
in Denmark?
when in my lifetime I have like, okay, we need to go to Fortex to get some candles because we're running out of them. Or
you know that Denmark is the best country that with the highest level of buying candles.
Yes, per person. And you burn a lot of candles, but that's how you see that unconsciously, in my case. Hugo gets into you, and now it's just the fredagslik, so the candy for children on Fridays. And I was like, I'll never do that. I'll never do that. I'll never just like select one day for giving candy to my child. And we have fredagslik at home, and it's a Hugo moment. We sit around, we talk, we enjoy the little candies that we have, and so it gets into you. I think the Danish living is not about learning how to do it, because it's very difficult, even though there are people that actually write books about how to live the Danish life, but it's mostly about like being aware of the things and maybe incorporating them. We're definitely not a Danish traditional house. We're far from that, and maybe many of our traditional Danish friends will be like, how can you do that? But if you manage to find that middle ground where you take a little bit of your own country, bringing the hygge, bringing all these nice things about the Danish culture, you can have quite an amazing atmosphere. It's we eat fredagslik, but we dance salsa with my daughter, and then we all are kind of doing some random things from the Colombian, or after the fredagslik we eat some snacks from Colombia. So it's about that. It's about finding the 50-50. I'm a believer that even though I'm in Denmark, I cannot lose my identity, because I don't know any different from that. That's how I am. I still hug. I still kiss sometimes, but that freaks out the Danish.
It's also about this global, because global is also like acting local for global impact, but It's also about this that being global citizen and citizenship, it's about that you have this free identity, like from your country, like your country and the new country that you are in, and also you have like this whole here, like Europe, like whole world. You are thinking in a different way.
Yes.
Also about the world. And like you said, what can we learn from each other? What can I implement? What can I borrow? What can I give?
What can I give? Definitely. I think it continues to be a lifetime journey to definitely learn from each other. I've taught already a lot of Danes how to hug, properly hug. And I think they end up enjoying it. And now we don't shake, we hug. But I'm still learning their Danish way. So if that continues to be the place for us to find each other, then I think it's going to be quite an interesting place in the near future.
Thank you so much for being here. So now we need to hug.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the invitation. Was a real pleasure to continue talking about these topics that are of great importance for the city, that will teach the rest of the country, without a doubt.
Lovely. You are doing a great job. Continue.
Thank you for the invitation.
So much, Daniela.